Hey everyone, Luke here. I've got a pretty awesome battle I played today. It was supposed to be the first time I played my greenskin army. Me and my buddy, the one who plays Empire, we're gonna try the orcs for the first time, fight kind of a balanced Empire list, and see what we could do. Try learning the rules, all that stuff. And so we had come up with 2,000 point lists, and we were supposed to play. But he called me in the morning and said, "Damn, I just can't make it. Something came up." I had the board all set up, and I was kind of like, "Ah, that sucks." But my wife came down and she said, "Well, that sucks. Why don't I play Warhammer with you? I mean, you could teach me to play. We could even do one of those battle reports you like so much." And I smiled. I thought, that's a great idea. She goes, let me play Skaven. I like those little rats. So my wife's pretty awesome. She comes to Gen Con. She plays a lot of games with us. I mean, every year she's there. But she's never done any of these war games. So I decided, oh, gosh, you know what? Just give me some time. I got to figure out Skaven. I don't really know much about the Skaven. It's probably apparent by the list I throw together. But I try to get some fun stuff in there. And I threw together a Skaven list and then chopped up and put together a quick 1,200 point list of the Orcs and Goblins as well. That would just kind of give us some experience. So this is where we are. It's a battle report between husband and wife, and it's just a pretty damn fun game. And I mean, come on, Skaven and Greenskins, these are like two of the best armies in Warhammer for fun. So here's the board. It was already set up. My wife had set it up earlier. I always like to have someone else set up the board. She did that when it was going to just be me and my buddy playing. So we decided to leave it as it was, but not treat the terrain as anything special. It's just, natural terrain that you can't go through and stuff. But this is how we deploy, just doing a pitched battle. I brought an Ragnarok Spider, a whole bunch of Night Goblins. There's 2 Fanatics in there, a BSB, and a level 2 Shaman with a little Wah. He has, the only spell he ever uses is Itchy Nuisance. Then there's a group of Savage Orcs. They're upgraded to Biggins and have a Savage Orc Shaman level 3 in there, and then they have a big stab up. I brought that and then I found out later in the game that you only really get to use that when you have 2 full ranks. So, I mean, immediately, as soon as you start taking wounds, you can't use it. But, I mean, that model's so cool. How can you not take it? Then I got, on the side here, the left flank, I put down my Boar Boys and put down some Trolls. And a Spear Chukka, and then immediately realized, yeah, there's no leadership over there, so those trolls are never going to go anywhere. They're so stupid. So they're going to feel their stupidity every turn. But yeah, whatever. It's a fun game. So this was kind of a list I threw together with Skaven. Again, not really knowing how they play. I know that you can normally shoot at stuff if it's tied up by slaves. You can shoot into combat, so I figured that's a good idea. And I gave her 2 groups of slaves, a Warp Lightning Cannon. Then a group of clan rats to fill out the rest of the core, and I threw all the characters in there, suggested she do that, but, told her she could move them all over. So there's a Grey Seer in there, a Chieftain BSB, and a Warlock Engineer. The Engineer knows Warp Lightning, and I can't remember the spells off the top of my head that the Grey Seer knew, but they'll come up. She has 3 Rat Ogres and a Packmaster. You can see there's a weapon team detachment there. That's just misplaced. She moves that over before the game gets started. It's a Plague Wind Mortar that's going to go on the Clan Rats. Then I've got 3 Jezzails. Looks like I forgot to mark them, and they're in the upper left on that hill. And then a Doom Wheel on the right. So kind of fun. So we roll. We're playing the normal game, so I get the first turn, and I start moving up. Greenskins going ahead, baby. Over here on the side, I immediately fail stupidity. Well, I think I need like a 4. I think that's what it is on normal trolls. Yeah, so they're just going to be stupid the whole turn. I've got to get over to them. And then my Boar Boys actually fail their animosity. First animosity roll of my life, and I fail it. And there's thankfully no one over to squabble with, so they don't get to move. They don't get to do anything. But I had to laugh that everyone talks about how bad animosity is, and I failed the very first one. It's probably a bad omen. During Magic, I don't have the most detailed notes about all the different dice and everything because I was trying to teach the game and run it and all that stuff. But I tried to cast Hand of Gork to move those trolls closer to me. That spell is amazing. I didn't realize how good that was going to be. She dispelled it, but now I know its power, so I'm very excited. And I end up getting Itchy Nuisance off on those Rat Ogres and drop them 4 initiative and movement. So they're cruising at movement 1 right now. So I feel pretty decent about that. So it's game turn 1. She moves up, fairly standard as you can see, getting ready to lay the paint in. The Rat Ogres stay where they are. They're too slow to move really anyway. The Doom Wheel comes screaming up. And then we adjusted a little bit in this picture. I suggest she goes a little bit closer to the spider so that the warp lightning can get shot at it. And so we adjusted a little bit then. During magic, she casts Plague on the trolls who regen and don't take any wounds, but then it passes over to the boar boys who lose one and then but don't have to panic. Yeah, that's right. They just lose one, and then it jumps over to the spear chukka. Now, I know that you're supposed to make attacks against the toughness of the war machine, but in instances like this, when it's a spell, especially a spell called Plague, it's not going to affect an inanimate object. I don't know. I feel strongly about that. And so, especially in a friendly game like this with my wife, I'm like, no. You don't have to go against like toughness 6. Just here, attack the little goblin. So we let that resolve, and it's down to 1 goblin crew left, and it failed its panic test, so it just can't fire next turn. It's the same thing with skinks and poison. You can't poison a damn cannon, but it's just one of those little nooks in the rules that don't make sense. But when she cast Plague, she miscast, and so it put a wound on the Gracier and on the Engineer. During shooting, the Doom Wheel shot 3 Strength 10 lightning bolts at the spider. Now, people who play Skaven, if you're watching this, the book seems to indicate that I roll once to determine the strength of all 3 lightning bolts. And she rolled a 10, so that's fantastic. But then it seems to say that you roll, it doesn't really say, but it seems to indicate that it says if you roll a misfire, something to the effect of it stops shooting for the rest of the turn, or it says something like no more bolts are shot, which seemed to me that you would roll once for the strength, but then you roll to see if you misfire on each bolt. I didn't know how it worked. There were never any misfires out of it, so we rolled once for the strength for all 3, and all 3 creamed it. Luckily, she rolled low on the multiplying of wounds, and the thing has a ton of wounds, but it's sitting at 5 wounds taken now. Only 3 left, so she just creamed that guy. During other shooting, the poison wind mortar landed right directly on the boar boys, killing one and panicking them right off the board. So they're out of the game now. Oh, poor guys. The picture at the end of turn 1 is what the battle looks like. A little bit chipped away on the greenskin side. So greenskin 2. The Savage Orcs charge the slaves. I figured, yeah, let's see what they can do. Chop them up. Get some use out of that big stabber. The spider goes into the Doom Wheel, and I move the Fanatics up just enough, and that triggers a release of the Fanatics. I'm sorry, I move the Night Goblins up, which triggers the Fanatics to be released. I send 1 through the Doom Wheel and 1 up toward the Rat Ogres. The one going through the Doom Wheel didn't actually do anything. I don't remember why, if she made her save, or I just failed the wound, or whatever, but yeah, there's no die there, so it didn't end up doing anything. Over here, of course, the trolls fail with stupidity. Magic. I cast Hand of Gork and move the trolls closer. I'm finally going to get to actually have them do something. I only really have Itchy Nuisance is the only other spell I cast for the rest of the game. Otherwise, there are a couple direct damage spells that just never go off, in case you're wondering. The Spear Chucker can't shoot this turn, and the Howdah crew on the spiders in combat, so they can't fire either. And so we go into combat. So at the end of it, the slaves are down, I think, 10, and I lose 1, but they're steadfast and hold. And I kind of remember, oh yeah, steadfast and, all that being near the general and strength in numbers and all that stuff. Yeah, I'm probably just tied up my own group in there, but what can you do? Over here, I couldn't believe it. So the Doom Wheel has the same initiative as the spider, and she needs 6s to wound, I believe, and it's one of those random you roll 2d6, and there's strength 2, so she needs 6s to wound, and she hauls off and rolls 3 6s, and it rolls like 10 total attacks and 3 6s, and I'm like, oh, okay, no problem, I got an armor save, and I fail it. I mean, granted, at this point, I only have a few wounds left, but I failed them all, and she killed the damn spider. I was like, I can't flippin' believe it, and she was laughing because she knew how much time I've been spending on that model and wanting to paint it. I mean, that model's one of the reasons I wanted to play Greenskins, one of the big ones. So she was laughing and having a good time, and just, oh, I can't believe my luck sometimes. So this is just a picture at the end of the turn. No spider on the right. Trolls moved in, and we're getting dwindled down a bit. At this point, Pizza shows up, and we devoured the best pizza in the world, green olive and banana peppers. Please try it if you haven't. It's perfect. So we come back down, nice and full, go to Skaven turn 2. The Rat Ogres charge the flank of the Savage Orcs. Now here, and I warned her about this, I said, okay, you can't, with the way you have to wheel, you're not going to be able to do it and not clip the Fanatics. And I think she just wanted to. I don't think she even tried rolling to see if she could restrain because she was frenzied. But she went through the Fanatic, and if you touch a Fanatic, you take D6 Strength 5 hits, and also D6 Strength 5 hits for it dying. And I creamed 2 of those Rat Ogres. I mean, I flippin' love those Fanatics. They're brilliant. Over here, the slaves go into the trolls, tie them up. That's a really good idea, I think. And the Doom Wheel goes screaming by the Fanatic and into the flank of the Goblins, which I didn't really think about, but good play. The Clan Rats move up, and the Poison Mortar angles itself so it can shoot at the Spear Chukka. Warp Lightning, we have a discussion about this. We looked in the book, and the book says that you can. It says you can make ranged attacks into combat with slaves. Now I know that the Big Red Rule Book says you can't cast direct damage spells, but it also says the army books are supposed to take precedence. So I thought it sounded generic enough that you could probably cast spells into combat with slaves only. I have a hunch now that that's probably not true, but you know, we decided what it's a friendly game. Let's just say you can. You know, if it's a direct damage, if it's a shooting spell. But if you guys know, let me know. Again, my hunch is that you probably can't cast different things like that into combat with slaves, but I don't know, maybe. It's pretty cool. So we say you can. Warp Lightning goes off and does 3 wounds on each side. Now I'm down to 1 troll. The Doom Wheel, even in close combat, does its shooting, and but only kills 2. Warp Lightning Cannon comes screaming in, blows up behind the lines, but ends up clipping 1 rat and taking out the other troll. At a pretty high strength, didn't make my regen, and then it multiplied, so all my trolls are dead. The Savage Orcs end up doing more wounds to the side here, to the Rat Ogres, than they did to the front. It was bizarre, like all frenzied up. I think, look, I did 3 to the front out of all those attacks, and I sent 2 guys to the sides, and ended up just destroying them right out. It was so weird. And I ended up losing 2, even with the ward save. But she's still barely steadfast. Over here, it's a tie, believe it or not, even though it's in the flank. She rolls really poorly for the amount of attacks and the impact hits. And because I have a musician, I win, and she breaks. And I decided, you know what, I could chase it down, but I'm going to spend all my time wishing I had the leadership bubble and maybe even itchy nuisance and stuff back in the middle. So I said, I will let the thing go and just hope it goes off the board. And actually, I should note, one of the reasons it survived so well is because the nets brought the strength down. And because we rolled, you have to roll off to figure out which happens first. I got to do the nets before impact hits. So that was pretty cool. The impact hits got lessened, and I survived. Greenskins turn 3. I march the goblins over in the middle. I end up casting Hand of Gork to put them behind the lines to threaten a little bit, but I realized right after I did it, I should have put the Fanatic right in front of someone because, you know, I might have been able to panic and break some guys, break those slaves up, but that's what I ended up doing. In combat, I end up breaking, killing a bunch and breaking the slaves who, they don't break, they just explode and take out another Savage Orc. You know, I think I've only made 1, maybe 2 ward saves out of that entire group so far. It's really bad luck for me. And I do have the Lucky Shrunken Head in there, so the 6-up ward save is now a 5-up, and I just couldn't make one. But, you know, they're still chopping through guys, and they're still a pretty great unit. And interesting, because they blow up, I don't have to overrun. I mean, I didn't charge in this turn anyway, so I just get to reform. Skaven turn 3. Everyone reforms just to turn around here. My wife casts Crack's Call, throws a bunch of dice at it, trying to get 5 or 6, however many ranks are worth of time. Only ends up killing 3, and miscasts while doing it, and blows up more clan rats than she did goblins. And at this point, it's that moment in every Warhammer player's life when you realize, wait, what the hell just happened? I threw a bunch of my dice. I was in a good spot, and I ended up paying way more than I got out of it. She's like, but why did my... She's going on and saying, why did my miscast hurt me? I don't understand. You should take the damage. I was just... I was laughing inside. I'm getting my butt kicked, but I thought it was funny as hell. I love that moment when Warhammer happens and does that to you. Oh, God, it was great. Well, the Grey Seer ended up living, but a bunch of clan rats died, and their other characters did not take any wounds. The Doom Wheel had rallied on her turn and shot. I think it can shoot when it rallies. I think it has to shoot every turn. Yeah, well, we had to shoot anyway. Just blew up the Fanatic. The Jezzails are able to, you can see them on the hill there, they're able to pick off another Savage Orc. The Plague Wind Mortar scores a direct hit on the Goblins. But I think, yeah, it only kills 4. And she had some really bad rolling. I mean, she covered like all but a couple with that template, and you know, it was 5 up. So, okay, she just rolled poorly. I felt kind of bad for her. Here, the engineer brings out his pistol and shoots one. I think it was the engineer I gave the pistol to. It might have been the BSB. Anyway, so one of those characters in there had a damn pistol, shot a goblin. That's the important thing to take away here. Greenskin's turn 4. I'm like, I'm getting shot to hell anyway. He can't shoot me if I'm in combat with the clan rats, so let's get into combat. So I go charging into the clan rats and the characters. Maybe I could take out that Grey Seer and some characters, I'm thinking. So that's what I did there. I throw all my dice at Itchy Nuisance in the magic phase, and she dispels it. So I thought that, I was kind of hoping Itchy Nuisance plus the nets would really help me, but yeah, it's probably not going to go so well now. Over here, I slaughter 9 of them, and she gets 1 of mine. One Savage Orc bites the dust. And over here, I wrote the Goblins. Oh yeah, the Goblins managed to kill off the Grey Seer. I pretty much directed all my attacks at the characters here. I was like, it's too tempting. So it kind of hurt combat res because I didn't score any on the engineer or the BSB, but I did kill the Grey Seer right away. Ended up wasting a bunch of landed wounds on the Grey Seer. But I broke, and she chased me down. And at this point, I said, honey, okay, I think we can call it. You've definitely won. And she looks up at me, puts dice down on the table, and says, oh no, we're playing this out. I'm going to crush you. So we go into Skaven turn 4. And, I mean, there's not much we can do here. She turns the clan rats around. The weapon team moves closer to avoid being shot by my Spear Chukka, who is the only other unit I have actually alive. Warp Lightning from the engineer hits 1 Savage Orc and 2 slaves. And she had thrown all her dice and miscast, actually. But the miscast only does she rolls well, and it just does the hit everyone in base contact with you, and she only ends up killing 2 clan rats with that. I was really hoping for something more spectacular. The Jezzails go right past the Piddly Warpaint word save and blow up all the remaining Savage Orcs. All we have left is the Shaman, who's that proxy guy there. And then the Warp Lightning Cannon doesn't care, just shoots, wounds the Shaman, blows the hell out of the... No, I'm sorry. Shoots, misses the Shaman, doesn't wound him, but just blows the hell out of those slaves there. And at the end of combat, where I'm still standing there, but I literally have two models on the battlefield, and my wife's pretty happy. So it was a good game. It was really fun. I got a chance to teach Warhammer to my wife, which is always fun. I was laughing pretty much the whole time at the luck of the greenskins and the crazy, awesome power and randomness of the Skaven. I think those armies are both fantastic, and hopefully very soon. I don't know when I get my next Warhammer game in. I mean, hopefully it's early the next week, but I'll have the 2,000 point game. I think I've got a pretty decent list of a bunch of random stuff to try, and we'll see how we do against Empire. So thanks for watching my stunning defeat to my wife, who has never played Warhammer before or really any war games and managed to kick my ass all around the battlefield.